In the headlines, residents of Tudumbiri community still reeling months after drone strike. Struggling to survive, the nail cutter's tale on feeding his family of 9 on 900 naira. Nigeria joins the rest of the world to celebrate Easter as leaders call for peace and unity. On the international scene, hundreds killed in Al-Shifa hospital siege as ceasefire talks to resume in Cairo. Hello again and welcome to the news update on Trust Television. I am Aisha Salihu. Now the news in full. Despite promises by the government to provide compensation and rebuild Tudumbiri community after the devastating military bombing, many in the area say nothing has changed. Musa Umar, a resident of Tudumbiri in Chikun local government area of Kaduna State, continues to live in a traumatic condition months after the incident. He lost his entire family, mostly women and children, during the army drone attack. Trustee Isabella Musa visited the community and tells us more.
Musa's house, once vibrant with children playing in the compound, now sits empty and silent. He wanders around alone, lost in thought, trying to come to terms with the tragic incident that occurred on December 3rd, 2023, when his entire family was wiped out by a single drone attack. When the incident happened, I was so confused and traumatized because I lost 6 children to the drone attack. The peasant farmer says his children were his source of happiness. I remember my children. I feel devastated. Sometimes I can't sleep, and I usually wake up in the night thinking and crying alone in the room. I live with agony, but I pray that the government will fulfill the promises they made, including compensation for our children, so that we can have relief. If they don't compensate us, they should know that we are living in a difficult condition and that we won't forget the incident till we die, because I had hope that my children will take care of me in the future as they could become president. Only God knows. Dr. Nafisa Hayatu emphasized that individuals who have experienced catastrophic events may suffer from mental health challenges. She called for proper management and support for people like Musa who are still traumatized by such incidents.
Such catastrophic events can lead to several mental health consequences, depending on how much an individual is exposed to that traumatic event. For instance, the victim of an attack like that might witness his family or her family being killed, family member or a loved one, could witness directly their houses being razed in fire, burnt down to the ground, losing every single thing they have ever had in their lives. It could be as worrisome as their loved ones taken away, carted away, killed, and all sorts of things. Now, all these things are not just the trauma of the attack, but witnessing each of these things could just be exponentially increasing how the magnitude of that trauma that the person is taking in.
Months after the incident, residents report that victims have yet to be compensated and the community has not been rebuilt through the Placo initiative by the federal government, as promised by Vice President Kashim Shettima during his visit to the state on behalf of the president. Most of the mud houses are still standing, with construction of the mosques ongoing through individual effort. However, the Kaduna State government has stated that it has commenced the construction of a 5.25-kilometer road from Kaduna International Airport to Tudumbiri community, along with plans for a hospital and a skills acquisition center. Residents are hopeful that this effort will come to fruition. Bella Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
Still in Kaduna State, the state governor, Ubasani, attributes the delay in workers' salary to the hefty debts inherited from the previous administration under Nasir El-Rufai. During a recent town hall meeting, Governor Sani revealed that he inherited debt burden of $587 million, 85 billion naira, and 115 contractual liabilities has significantly constrained the state's finances. A substantial portion of the federal allocation for March, amounting to 7 billion naira out of 10 billion naira, was diverted to service these debts, leaving a mere 3 billion naira for other expenditures. Despite the financial constraints, Governor Sani emphasizes that his administration has refrained from borrowing any additional funds over the past 9 months. He outlined key priority areas including safety and security, housing, education, healthcare, and support for small businesses. Former Chief of Defense Staff General Martin Luther Agwai, retired, stressed the importance of addressing security challenges for sustainable development, while the Emir of Zazzau expressed optimism in the governor's ability to lead the state to economic recovery. However, a son of El-Rufai criticized Governor Sani, alleging incompetence and a failure to fulfill his duties as governor. In a joint military operation known as Operation Udoka, security operatives raided a notorious camp located in Ezohia Forest within the Mbatoli local government area of Imo State. The camp was reportedly operated by suspected members of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra and its militia affiliate, the Eastern Security Network. Brigadier General Usman Lawal, the Army Commander of 34 Artillery Obinze, Imo State, highlighted that the forest was known for harboring various criminal activities, including torturing high-profile kidnap victims. The forest, bordering 3 local government areas of Oru East, Njaba, and Mbaitoli, was allegedly controlled by a suspected notorious IPOB commander known as B-44. During the raid, security operatives exhumed 3 corpses from a shallow grave in the forest and recovered numerous car registration number plates, vehicle particulars, car keys, and personal belongings believed to belong to kidnapped victims who had been slain. Maria Abdullahi, mother of 4-month-old Fatima Salisu, who succumbed to meningitis, has implored parents to ensure their children receive vaccinations against cerebrospinal meningitis. She recounted how her daughter initially presented with a high fever and later developed a stiffened neck before being rushed to a hospital in Gagarawa. Despite efforts, Fatima passed away at Gumel General Hospital, where they were transferred.
Sunana Maria Abdullahi daga Gagarawa tasha. Sunan yarta Fatima Salisu. Watan ta 4.
My name is Maria Abdullahi from Gagarawa Tasha. My daughter's name is Fatima Salisu. She was 4 months old before her death. Fatima woke up with a fever. After that, I noticed her head was bent to one side, and then I told her father that I would be taking her to the hospital. On reaching the hospital, I also noticed she was breathing hard and her body was stiff. The doctor checked her and asked me to take her to the bigger hospital where she died. I was touched by her death because she was dear to my heart. I am passionately calling on the community to visit the meningitis immunization center to get vaccinated to safeguard themselves against this epidemic.
Saboda ni na ga abin ya faru daga kaina. In ga dole in ki taka tsantsan da wannan abu.
Millions of Nigerians working menial jobs are facing difficulties making ends meet. In this report, Salis Lawan tells the story of a 52-year-old Hassan Isa, a nail cutter who, despite available jobs, is unable to cater for his family. Take a look.
Yes. Hassan Isa and his relatively large family of 10 face daily struggles from sunrise to sunset to procure just one meal to break their Ramadan fast. Hassan, who has been an El Kota for over 42 years, described the current economic situation as the most challenging period in his and his family's lives. With over 42 years of experience in nail coating, every job brings its own set of challenges. While we are grateful to Almighty God for our lives, we cannot overlook the struggle of procuring even a single meal daily, particularly given the current circumstances. My family and I heavily rely on marks to break our fast. The current economic hardship is taking a toll on Hassan Isa and his family, which is similar to what many Nigerians are facing. This is Nana Bilkisu, Hassan's wife of 27 years.
We rarely have enough to eat, often going to bed on empty stomachs. I constantly wish I could start a small business to support my husband, but I lack the capital to do so. As a result, we rely on the mega earnings from my mate's job and his nail cutting business, which are not yielding much.
The nail quota urged the government to provide urgent intervention, highlighting the inability of people to cope with soaring food prices and living costs.
Akwai guda biyu wanda an aurar da su suna can a ƙauyenmu. Ko da yanzu Allah ya kawo wallahi ya kamata a ce da suna ɗakin mijinsu a zaman nan ba.
As you can see, I have daughters. 2 of them are married, and the remaining ones are old enough to be married off, if only I had the means to do so. The family migrated to Adamawa, hail from Kazaure local government area of Jigawa state, and their story is just one among many.
To wallahi ba zan taɓa manciya ba da dama na akwai radda sai da na jera kwana uku. Ni kai na maimakon in samu abin da zan ci a can na rana. An unforgettable event in my life occurred when my family went without food for 3 days. I will never forget those challenging times.
Sometimes, when the kids are hungry, I would light up the stove just to distract them from crying, as we had nothing to offer them to eat except hot water.
Hassan Isa and his family earn less than 1,000 naira a day, which is too meager to meet their needs on a regular basis. This life of poverty and hunger is emblematic of Nigeria's growing poverty rate, which has an estimated 134 million people living in multidimensional poverty. Salis Lawan, Trust TV News, Yola.
Leaders across Nigeria, including the president of the Christian Association of Nigeria, Archbishop Daniel Oko, and former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, have emphasized the significance of peace and unity during the Easter celebrations. Oko urged leaders to govern with wisdom and fairness, echoing the message of Easter to act in the common good. Atiku called on Nigerians to emulate the virtues of love and sacrifice demonstrated by Jesus Christ, emphasizing their importance for national unity. Governors like Godwin Obaseki of Edo State and Peter Mba of Enugu State encouraged reflection on the Easter message of self-sacrifice and love amidst economic challenges. Meanwhile, Governor Doye Diri of Bayelsa State expressed optimism for Nigeria's resilience amid current challenges. Additionally, Peter Obi, the 2023 presidential candidate for the Labour Party, urged Nigerians to continue striving for a better nation and seek divine intervention during Easter. Security measures have also been heightened across states, with the Ogun State Commissioner of Police ordering round-the-clock surveillance during and after the Easter celebrations. This is the news update on Trust Television coming up shortly. Local manufacturers decry unfavorable business conditions amidst economic slowdown. More news when we return. Please stay with us. Welcome back and thank you so much for staying with us. But if you're just joining us, this is the news update on Trust Television. Let's take a look at our top stories again. Residents of Tudunbiri community still reeling months after drone strike. Nigeria joins the rest of the world to celebrate Easter as leaders call for peace and unity. And now moving on to more stories. Hides and skin is an age-long industrial practice, with Nigeria producing one of the best leather in the world. But the current foreign exchange crisis and persistent farmer-herders conflicts have continued to threaten local tanneries in northern Nigeria. In this special feature, Trust TV's correspondent Idris Jibrin takes a look at the future of Kano manufacturing industries amidst harsh economic realities of Nigeria. Take a look.
Over 700 and still counting. That is the current number of Nigeria's manufacturing industries that have either stopped production or have completely shut down between May 2023 to date. Unfavorable government policies and the problem of power supply, as well as the difficulties in accessing foreign exchange, are some of the major concerns of this industrialist.
If you take a survey now around the factories, you agree with me that even here, you can count between 300 to 400 industries here that are not working. Maybe you can only count like 100 or 200 that are working at half capacity. Even this factory here that we're in here now, I believe we are operating at half capacity. We're not operating at full capacity. It is for the fact that there is a market, but we don't have the wee vital to even produce.
All prices of our inputs have started going up, and rapidly. Rapidly. You will have change of price from our suppliers. Then we have 3-4 times in a month. Towards the end of the year, it now becomes almost like daily.
Like a daily basis.
Sometime this year, it is hourly. Because any hour you discuss with your supplier, he will tell you, if you say yes now, we strike a deal. If you say no, after 1 hour, I have to check my input. So you can see that we can't predict anything.
GB Tannery is among the few surviving indigenous hides and skin factories in Kano. Hundreds of youth works here to earn their daily income. But the Nigeria's industrial sector is under threat at the moment. They say it has never been this bad.
You know, your staff, because of the inflation, they keep asking for salary increment. Your spare parts that you buy, basically everything has increased. So the issue of forex is not only to specific sectors in the economy, it's to everywhere, including the factories.
These tanneries, for instance, source their raw materials from the skin of animals across farming communities of northern Nigeria. But growing conflict between livestock owners and those growing crops has now forced them to import raw materials.
The issue of raw material is also another concern. You see, we are like part of agriculture because our products are skin, hide and skin, you know, and this is something that the herders needs to rear these animals, you know, in the bush and stuff like that. But there is insecurity, you know, so the supply is not as adequate as before. Why? Because there are areas that are now inaccessible due to insecurity.
Unlike tanneries that export its finished products, this leather processing industry depends largely on imported raw materials to produce sacks for local consumption. Presently, BBY had to cut down the production output if it must continue to remain in business.
Most of the manufacturing sectors, they cannot tell you they are getting profit or they are even running their businesses the way they're supposed to run it. We are just running just to survive. Because the thing is, the situation is very difficult, and Many companies have either shut down or scaled down their production due to the situation we are in right now.
While Nigerians continue to pay the price of the current industrial crisis, manufacturers believe that unless the problem of electricity is addressed, raw materials become adequate, security of lives and property guaranteed, the future of Nigeria's industrial sector may continue to remain bleak.
The governors, the president, the members of House of Reps, ministers, all people in government on high positions, they are adding their spendings by day. Whereas we, the manufacturers, the traders, the workers, everybody, we are suffering in Nigeria, and we are saying that there is light at the end of the tunnel. Which light?
The government needs to do a lot, and the government needs to know that we're at a juncture in this country that we need to decide whether we want to be a producing nation or a consuming nation. Are we going to carry on importing everything, every single thing, your biro, your sweets, your biscuits, imported or we want to be exporting, we want to be creating, we want to be producing. So we need to think about that. Once we bridge that gap and make sure we're a producing country, we start exporting, increase our exports, the issue of dollar will be an issue of the past, really.
It's only the government that can solve its foreign FX challenges, not manufacturers. Manufacturers, the only thing we could do is to ramp up our production so that we can export. By exporting, you're going to earn dollar. But of course, now we are not producing. Most of the companies are operating below capacity, so what can you even export? Some have even closed down. That's another challenge now. We should have been supported. If manufacturers are supported, definitely they will be able to bring in more dollar into the country. But today now, we are being suffocated, to be frank with you.
Despite this disturbing situation, some experts still hope for change. But while they wait, economic hardship among ordinary Nigerians may likely continue to increase. Idris Jibrin, Trust TV News, Kano.
We'll take it away from Nigeria now. Negotiations to broker a truce between Israel and Hamas in Gaza will resume in Cairo on Sunday, following Prime Minister Netanyahu's approval for fresh talks. Despite previous mediation attempts by Egypt, Qatar, and the U.S., a lasting agreement has remained elusive. The siege of Al-Shifa Hospital in Gaza has resulted in over 400 casualties, drawing international condemnation. The French, Egyptian, and Jordanian foreign ministers called Saturday for an immediate and permanent ceasefire in Gaza and the release of all hostages held by Palestinian militants. Thousands of pro-Palestinian protesters rallied in London on Saturday in the latest demonstration in the British capital, demanding ceasefire in Gaza and more aid for the war-ravaged territory. And finally, in sports news, Sunshine Stars Football Club and Sunshine Queens Football Club claimed the titles in the male and female categories, respectively, at the 2024 Ondo State FA Cup. The matches held at the Ondo State Sports Complex in Akure saw Sunshine Queens secure victory with a 1-0 win over Onimag FC, while Sunshine Stars triumphed over Adami Mogul with a 2-0 score line. The FA chairman and the state, Otumba Ajayi, commended the participating teams for their conduct and urged them to represent the state well in the upcoming Federation Cup. The annual FA Cup competition, organized by the Nigeria Football Federation, aims to promote football at the state level. Additionally, Ajayi announced the revival of the Governors' Cup competition after years of hiatus due to financial constraints. The winners were awarded medals and trophies, while the runners-up received medals as well. On that exciting note, we've come to the end of the news update at this hour. But remember, you can always follow us across all of our social media platforms and also join our YouTube live stream for more news, programs, and documentary. Thank you so much for watching. I am Aisha Salihu.